Okay, so we'll see today how to install operating system. Then we'll see what is operating system, architecture, all these things. Okay. See, yesterday we discussed about virtualization, right? Say how to install operating system on top of that. We'll see now. See, so already here we created one virtual machine yesterday, right? But we are not installing any operating system on top of that. See, if you want to install any operating system, first we have to buy or download operating system ISO image from internet. Okay, so if you want to install Windows operating system, we have to buy a licensed one, CD or DVD. We have Red Hat, CentOS, like there are different Linux flavors are available, Ubuntu, Debian. If you want to use any one, we can download from internet free with FreeCast. Okay, see, for to download CentOS, Red Hat, Ubuntu, just search like this. So if you want to install Red Hat and Linux, first we have to subscribe to the RHN network. Then only they will provide a link, we can download and install. Okay. So for CentOS, just search for CentOS 7 or 6, any version, ISO. So I'll get a link, vendor link, centos.org. See, so here it shows DVD ISO, everything ISO, minimal ISO. So as per requirement, you can download. See, minimal ISO in the sense very basic operating system you'll get. Okay, very basic operating system in the sense whatever the service is required to boot your operating system, that mini packages you will get. Okay, see, once you choose this, you'll get around 4 GB file ISO image. It comes with a lot of packages, additional add-ons also. So during the installation, we can choose which add-on packages you want to install. And this one is around 7 GB. It comes with so more than 4,000 packages. The remaining third-party tools and server services packages, libraries, compilers. Like, okay, so this is enough. This is not recommended. Okay, so if you want to download using torrents, you can download by using torrent link. So you have different mirrors. Choose any one mirror. Okay, see, it shows right ISO image 4.2 GB. Just click on this, directly we can download. If you want to download using torrent, just click on this. Okay, like Ubuntu. So Ubuntu comes in two versions. So one is desktop version and another one is server. So if you want to desktop, you can download this. Server versions we can choose from here. Sorry. Any version, 16 or 17, you can download and install. So when you downloaded this server version, you didn't get any graphical user interface. Only you'll get text-based logins. I mean CLI, command line interface. Like black screen you will get. Okay. Like Debian. But we have to subscribe first. See, Enterprise Linux virtualization. There are different operating systems are available, and okay, we can download from here, right? Right. So here already we have downloaded ISO images. Now we'll see how to install. Say you have a physical box, you want to install operating system. First we have to burn that ISO image into DVD. So then open your DVD tray, insert into that, reboot the machine, go to BIOS settings. This physical machine. When power on your laptop or a desktop, so when you press F2 function key or F9 function key, you'll get a BIOS settings. So there is advanced settings, and when you there is an option like boot options, boot order. So in boot order, first boot device as CD-ROM we have to select. Then reboot the machine. Whatever the ISO image, operating system ZD you inserted, then it will start from installation screen, right? In virtualization, in virtual machine, just power on this. See, yesterday we created just a virtual machine with 1 GB RAM allocated, 8 GB storage allocated to that, right? We are not installed any operating system. So after that, once power on the machine, you'll get a message like this: no bootable medium found, system halted, because there is no operating system installed on your available storage device. So for that, we have to install. So click on devices, optical drives, choose disk image. So search for the downloaded ISO image path in your local machine. Select the RHL7, CentOS 7 or Cent 6. Let's select it. Now reboot the machine. Machine reset. You'll get a screen like this, right? So now enter to install. See, here it is checking ISO image, not required. Escape by using escape key. Yeah. Now we have to choose a language. Okay. So here we have different language type. Then select your language. I'm going to choose English India. Okay. To continue this, use Alt C. Alt C shortcut key, or directly we can click on continue. Alt C to continue. See what it shows here: localization, software, system, some options it shows, right? Now we have to choose time zone. You are in the same time zone, not required to change. Okay, so if you are in different time zone, just click on this, select your correct time zone, click on done. After that, or you can use Alt D shortcut key. Alt D shortcut key. Right. See, then software installation source. So already we selected. Okay, already we selected ISO image, right? Yes. So here we have another method. We can install operating system from network. For that, require a Kickstart server. First, we have to build the Kickstart server. Then we can use the Kickstart server path. What is Kickstart server? We'll see later. Now, software selection. Minimal install, infrastructure server, file and print server, basic web server, virtualization host server with GUI. So there are different base environments are available. You can choose any one. You want graphical user interface, choose server with GUI or virtualization host. Okay, minimal install in the sense the very basic server functionality operating system will be installed. So after that, you want to run any advanced commands like monitoring tools to watch something. Okay, so for that we have to install those tools. Okay, see, when you select the infrastructure server, so along with the services managed commands and advanced tools will be installed, debugging tools. Okay, file and print server, basic web server, Basic web server in the sense, along with your operating system, web server related packages will be installed. So after installation of operating system, we can install. If you want to install, during that we can choose. See, along with this, we can choose different add-ons. So right side it shows, right, add-ons for selected environment. See, infrastructure. So if you want to configure this machine as a backup server, then select this. So whatever the backup related tools are available, those tools will be installed along with your operating system. If you want to configure your machine as a DNS server, we can install. We can choose this email, FTP server, file and storage server. Like there are different add-ons, load balancer, performance tools, remote management for Linux. There are different tools are available. So at the time of installation of operating system, you want to install all these, choose. We can select multiple options. Just click on like, okay. Once you select it, along with operating system, these add-ons will be installed. Like web server also. Right. So now here I'm going to select infrastructure server. Okay. Then click on done. Then select installation destination, where you want to install your operating system. Right. So here we have two storage devices. One with 8 GB, second one with 16 GB. We can choose any one, either 16 GB storage device or 8 GB storage device. Or we have another method to install operating system. There is centralized storage devices, SAN, storage area network. In your environment, is there any SAN? We can directly install operating system on centralized storage. Okay, what is that? We'll see in disk management about storage. Okay, select this first one. Here I'm going to install operating system on first storage device 8. See, before going to install operating system, we have to create some partitions. So minimum recommended 3 partitions. At least one partition is required to install operating system. So that is root partition. So you have to create a root partition. Without root partition, we can't install Linux operating system. But recommended root, boot, and swap partitions. These 3 partitions are recommended for good configuration. Right? Here, to create partitions, we have 2 methods. One is automatically, second one is manually. So when you choose automatically configure partitioning, automatically itself it creates a partitions. It allocates some storage space for each partition. How much storage space required for each partition? The remaining storage space is allocated for root partition. Okay. So when you choose I will configure, as per requirement, we can create swap, boot, root, and some other partitions. We can allocate how much storage space required for each partition. See, selected here, I will configure partitioning. Click on done. After that, you'll get a window like this. Now, start creating partitions. So here it shows partition types, device types, standard partition, BTRFS, LVM, LVM thin provisioning. Okay, we'll see BTRFS, LVM, LVM thin provisioning later in disk management. Select the standard partition. Standard partition. To add a new partition, so here it shows plus, right? Click on plus. How much space it shows? Available space 8.19 GB. Total space 8.19 GB. Selected only one storage device. Now click on this. Add a new mount point. What is mount point here? See, basically, you have a storage device, might be external or internal storage. User can't directly access whatever the data inside. So required a name. See, for that we have to create a one mount point name. When you create a storage partition, user can't directly communicate with that. User can't directly write something into that. User can't directly access data inside. So for that required one name at user space. For that we have to create a one mount point name. By default it shows here available mount points. Choose any one mount point. We have to create root, boot and swap, right? Yes. Select boot mount point name. Create a partition with size. Here we have to specify size in MBs. Size in MBs. 400 MB. Here I'm going to create a partition with 400 MB size. Add it. Okay. Created or not? Yes. Yes. 3. Right. System. Here it shows /boot and 400 MB and it shows name like SDA1. What is SDA1? First partition in storage device SDA. So here depends on storage type. It shows device names like. If you have a SATA storage, SATA or SCSI type, it shows storage device names like SDA. When you install more than one storage device, it shows SDB, SDC like. Here we have 8 GB storage device and another one is 16 GB storage. We created partitions at SDA storage. Created one partition with 400 MB size. That's why it shows SDA1, first partition in SDA1 SDA storage. Right? Okay. So if storage type is IDE, it shows storage device names like HDA or HDB when you install more than one. By default, it shows the names. Operating system will show the names. Okay. Right. Same mount point name. So capacity, device type, standard partition, file system. What it shows here? File system. What is file system here? So our Linux operating system supports various file systems. So not only XFS, ext type, vfat, BIOS boot. There are different file system types. Okay. So it supports. We can use any one file system. So what is file system here? Without file system, we can't manage data. Files. That means if there is no file system on any storage device, we can write data into that. For that, we have to create a file system on newly created partitions. So then once you created a file system, the file system will organize data. File system will organize. So data is organized into files basically. So these files are organized into directories. There is a tree structure in Linux. We'll see that. What is file system structure later. Okay. File system. See, just click on here. It shows right. XFS, ext4, ext3, 2. We'll see one by one. So what is ext4, ext3, ext2 and advantages, disadvantages one over another in file system management. Just understand the default file system. You have to remember the default file system in RHEL7 XFS. XFS is the default file system. In 6, ext4. ext4 is a default file system. Red Hat Enterprise Linux 6, 7 or CentOS also. CentOS 7, 6 also. Same. So in 5, the default file system is ext3. Extended file system. Extended file system version 3, 4. In Fedora. Okay. Got it? Fine. Now create another partition, swap. So recommended partition, right? Select the mount point. Already we have here swap. Now create a partition with specified size. So here we have to create a swap partition with depends on your physical memory. Physical memory in the sense RAM size. How much RAM you have. Based on that, we have to create a swap partition. Okay. So once you created a swap partition, whenever you required memory, your operating system will use this swap space. That means when amount of physical memory goes full, your RAM goes full, your operating system will use this swap memory. It's also known as virtual memory. See, for that we have to create a partition. There is a small calculation to create a swap partition. Depends on your physical memory. Say we have a 1 GB RAM. 1 into 2. You have to create a 2 GB swap partition. So you have a 2 GB RAM, physical RAM. Then 2 into 2, 4 GB. If you have a 3 GB RAM, 3 plus 2, 5 GB. And so on, like, so up to 2 GB, you need to multiply, okay, double the RAM. So from 3 GB onwards, plus 2, 3 plus 2, 4 plus 2, 5 plus 2. So you have a 6 GB, 6 plus 2, 8 GB swap partition required for good performance, okay. Now here we allocated only 1 GB, right? Yesterday we created with a virtual machine 1 GB RAM. So now created 2 GB swap partition. 2048 MB equals to 2 GB. See, 8 bits equals to 1 byte, right? 1 byte. 1024 bytes equals to 1K. 1024K 1 MB. Okay. 1024 MB equals to 1 GB. 1024 GB equals to 1 TB, terabytes. 1024 TB equals to 1 PB, petabyte. 1024 PB equals to exabyte. Okay. Like there is a calculation. So like here specified for 1 GB, specified the size in MBs 2048, right? Added second partition, SDA2. See here the file system type is swap. When you create a swap partition, the partition space from storage device dedicatedly allocated for swap only. We can't utilize for other purpose. That means to store data into that. We can't utilize. When you create a swap partition, the storage space dedicatedly allocated for swap purpose only. Yes. We can, but recommended. So more than we can allocate. So let's go. Also we can allocate 500 MB. Also we can allocate. It won't utilize. When it requires, it utilize. When amount of your physical memory goes full, then only it will utilize the swap space. Otherwise, it won't use. So we can create it with the minimum size. So when it requires, we can extend after installation also. Yeah, we have options. We'll see that in disk management. Right. So click create a root partition. The main partition. Without this partition, we can't install operating system. So root and allocate. So that is depends on requirement. So if you have a 500 GB or 1 TB storage, if you want to create a root partition with 100 GB, allocate 100 GB. Or if you want to allocate entire available space to this, we can allocate. That is depends on your requirement. Okay. Created, right? Successfully created, right? Root partition. So what it shows, SDA3, third partition in SDA storage device, standard partition, mount point name, file system default. So we can use different file systems for different partitions. That is depends on our interest, our requirement. Okay. These three partitions are recommended to create. We can create more than this as per requirement. We can use our own mount points. Just click on plus. It shows mount points, right? So apart from this, we can use our own mount points. For example, you want to create a partition with 100 GB or to store Java application or .NET application or PHP application or backup data. See, for that we can create a mount point name with application name or a particular backup storage name. See example / Java app. Like we can specify, just specify the storage space, how much storage partition you want to create. So once you click on add mount point, automatically mount point will be created, one partition will be created with specified size. It won't accept because there is no free space, right? We used that. Okay. But it's selected available space. How much space is available in that storage? So with that, here created, even though you specified more than that. Say created a partition with 42 MB size. Okay. So here partitions are like primary partition, extended partitions. There are different types. So we'll see in the disk management what is primary partition and extended partition. Okay. If you want to delete, just minus, remove. Right. Successfully we created. Now click on done. Now accept. Once you accept, after that, when you begin installation, automatically partitions will be formatted with desired file systems, whatever the file system we selected. Right. Now network and host name. See, to add this machine into a network, we have to configure IP address and we have to enable network interface devices, also known as Ethernet device. Here available two Ethernet devices. By default, it shows here names ENP0S3, ENP0S8. In 6, it shows the Ethernet device names like ETH0, ETH1 in previous version. Right. So to enable at boot time, just click on this. So enable. See, automatically here obtain address, right? IP address, subnet, default root. So what is this? All this we'll see in this for networking class. So if you have a DHCP server, dynamic host configuration protocol, your host machine will collect one address from that. If there is no DHCP server, we have to configure. So how to configure DHCP server? What is DHCP server? We'll see in the servers class. Okay, after networking. So like this one also, if you want to enable, we can enable. You're also getting an address, right? 192.168.36.3. So there is a virtual router enabled with DHCP service with different subnet. So what is subnet? I'll explain in networking class. Okay. Click on this, and if you want to set host name, we can set. Using this host name, we can identify our machine in the network. Using this name, we can identify our machine in the network. Just give a name for this machine. Depends on whatever the application you want to host, or might be you want to use this machine as a web server or application server, database server, or email server. Based on that, give a name for this. That's it. Now click on begin installation. Or you can use shortcut key Alt B. See, creating file systems, right? Started installation. See, here it shows user settings, root password. Root password is not set. User creation, no users will be created. By default, one user account will be created. Name is root. Root is an administrator. Okay, that means super user. Okay, see, for that user account, we have to set password. To authenticate, to manage services, to install something on operating system, required a user accounts. Okay, so now set password for root user. Password is recommended 8 characters minimum. It should be include one special character, numeric letter, and uppercase. Okay, don't use dictionary words, your names, operating system name, application names, host names as passwords. Okay, just specify what it shows, weak password. Here entered 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Okay, but in real time we have to create a complicated passwords. Okay, there is no password for root, so we have to create. Okay, see what it shows here. You have provided a weak password. The password says the dictionary check. It is too simplistic or systematic. Press done again to use anyway. So if you want to use the same password, click on done or create a complicated password. But this is not recommended in real time, weak passwords. So you have to put complicated passwords, strong passwords. Right. If you want to create a user accounts, we can create. So if you want to make that user as admin, we can make. See, give a name. Make this user administrator, select this. Otherwise, no need to select. Enter password. Require a password to use this account. You don't want to create a password? We can. So here specified one uppercase, one numeric letter, and one special character. That's why it shows pair. Right? That's it. This is how to install operating system. If you know how to install Red Hat Enterprise Linux, we can install CentOS as well as Oracle Enterprise Linux also. So there is another distribution, Oracle Linux. Same steps.
Root access anyone can access, but user should be single person by sharing the root password.
Yeah, by sharing the root password, anyone can access. He can perform any action. So root users has limited access. He can't perform any administrator tasks. So for that we have a solution. So if you want to segregate tasks, see, If you want to allot some task for a particular user and the second user for different tasks, we can do that. We'll see in the user administration, right?
Root password will change.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, every time we can modify. Even though we forgot root password, we can recover. So we have a method. So I'll show you in user administration how to recover forgot passwords. 1 second. Reboot. See, there's a boot menu. Okay. Say when you install more than one operating system, both operating systems, boot menu it shows. We can choose which operating system we want to use. Say after installation, you'll get a screen like this. No graphical user interface, text-based logins, CLI. So if you want graphical user interface, we have to choose server with GUI. Here selected infrastructure server. That's why we got this screen. So now enter username. So either root user or we created one user account, right? That user account and password. Login. Now we can run various commands. Right? So you'll get a screen. So what it means, the terminals. Terminal, before it's the login screen, right? So that is a console. So once you enter username and password at console, so we'll get access. We'll get a one terminal which allows us to run various commands. Once you run commands at terminal, your shell takes that request. So there is a shell program. Shell takes that request, it processes to your operating system. So here your operating system is nothing but a kernel. There is a kernel. So kernel takes that request, it processes to your hardware. So we have a hardware in the sense storage device also is hardware. Audio controllers, network interface cards, these are all hardware devices, right? We can manage all these devices from user space by using software programs. The set of software programs is nothing but your operating system. Set of software operating system. Set of software is nothing but your operating system. The core part of the operating system is here, kernel. Kernel is the core part of the operating system, right? See, so this is how to install. We'll see now how to install Ubuntu. Then we'll see architecture about operating system. So have any questions up to here? Hello. Okay, fine.
No doubts.
Hello.
Pardon? Yeah. Yeah, we can. We have a tools. We can see that. So there are different tools like. So we have a command lsblk. It shows block devices information. See SDA storage device. So in that storage device we created partitions, right? SDA1, SDA2, 3, and another storage device we have SDB. We are not created any partitions. There is another block device like SR0, right? So we'll see that in later on. Okay, just understand the basics first. We'll see the part. Okay, so how to manage servers.
Hello.
Right. For that, again we have to create one virtual machine. Click on new, Ubuntu. Select the type and Ubuntu version also, 32-bit or 64-bit. Amount of RAM we can allocate 1 GB is enough here. That depends on your requirement. You can choose RAM size 2 GB, 4 GB, 6 GB, 5 GB. Now we have to create a storage device to install operating system. So required a storage device. Here in virtual machine, so we have to attach one storage device to install operating system. Recommended 10 GB here, so we can like a 20, 30, like virtual machine is ready. Now power on this, double click, or once you select, it shows start. Sometimes it shows. Now browse for downloaded ISO. Ubuntu server. And if you want to install Ubuntu desktop, download that ISO image, Ubuntu desktop version, whether 16 or 17 version. Okay, so now select the language, enter. It's already selected English, right? Enter. So if you want choose F2, there is different keys, function keys, right? We can use this. Enter. So now select the installation method, install Ubuntu server. Select one. Choose the language to be used for the installation process. English, or English, some other, I mean UK, Australia, I chose something, right? The English, enter the default one. Country, region. So we have to choose. So country, region. If you are in India, you can choose. If you are in US, you can choose US. Okay. So detect the keyboard layout. So no need to search for the keyboard, already detected. So use the default one. No. Then country of the region for the keyboard, English US, and enter. Select the same one, English US. We can download any where virtual we can create, that is depends on your physical memory. So we can create a number of virtual machines and virtual box, I mean virtual software. So that is depends on your storage and physical memory available. Okay, so have a hard, I mean physical RAM with 16 GB. So we can create a number of guest machines. That is depends on whatever the application you want to run and how much memory required for that particular server. So now give a host name. Using that host name, we can identify our machine in the network. System name. Continue. So next, enter username. So here we have to enter user full name or name. Just continue. Again, enter user account name. I'm using same name. Okay. Choose a password for the new user. Same thing. Here also you have to follow the password policies. So recommended 8 characters. So at least, I mean, it includes must be include one special character, one uppercase, one numeric letter. So if you want to see that password, whatever the password you enter, then select this one, show password in clear. Retype. Okay, see here it is asking encrypt your home directory. So what is encryption? We'll see in later. Just select no. So here it is gathering information. So time from the network, time server. So by default, it will synchronize time and time zone, everything from your host. So what is host here? Your Windows machine. So on top of Windows, we installed VirtualBox, virtual software. On top of virtual software, we created a one virtual machine. We installed now Ubuntu on top of that. See, here it shows based on your present physical location, your time zone is Asia, Kolkata. So if you are in the same time zone, continue with S. If you are in different time zone, select no and select the desired one. Yes. Now create a partitions to install operating system. Okay, so for that we have to select, see, use entire disk and set up LVM, use entire disk and set up encrypted LVM manual. To create partitions manually, choose the last option. If you want to create partitions automatically, use above three options. What is LVM? We'll see. Select automatically create partitioning. First one, use entire disk. Entire disk in the sense it select complete storage device. It creates how many partitions are required. Enter. And if is there any more than one storage device, it shows both storage devices information. So we can choose any one storage device to install operating system. Here we have only one storage device, SDA, with 10.7 GB, right? Enter. See, write changes to disk. We have to accept. By default, here created some partitions, two partitions, ext4 file system is here, the default file system in Ubuntu 16. Okay, and swap partition also created here. Yes. Write changes to disk. Yes. Creating file system on root partition and swap file system created on swap partition. So in Ubuntu, we can directly log in as root. So even though you have a physical access or remote access, we can directly log in as root accounts. By default, root is disabled. Administrator account disabled. So we have to log in as a normal user account. Then we can switch from normal user to root to perform administrative tasks. That is the difference between Red Hat and Ubuntu, and there are different differences. We'll see that. So the managing services, the way of installation, the packages in both environments.
In real time, this is the only way for use multiple Linux operating systems by using the VMware.
Yeah, VMware. Yeah, for VMware, there is Citrix Zen, another VMware. Like virtualization software, Hyper-V, Microsoft Hyper-V also there is. That is depends on the client interest. So we can install directly on top of. So basically, VMware is the most popular virtual software. Okay, very flexible and reliable software. So it comes with a lot of features. So when you compare with Hyper-V and Zen, the proxy. See, if you have is there any proxy enabled in your environment? So you have to specify. Then only you'll get internet access. So here we don't have any proxy. Just leave it this. So how to configure proxy we'll see in the server class. Continue. Sometimes in interview they are asking, Ubuntu, so how to install? So what is the difference between Red Hat and Ubuntu? Sometimes, that's why I'm showing this one also. Same, so almost 60 to 70% commands will work in both environments. There are a few commands are different. I'll show you those commands. Okay. See, once again, I'll give a complete overview about the virtualization. So how to create, install VirtualBox, how to create virtual machines. Takes time to finish, right? So install. Okay. To install operating system, so required a hardware. So once you purchase hardware, we can install operating system on top of that. So using operating system, we can manage all the hardware things from user space. If there is no software programs, we can't control hardware devices. Even though if you have a storage device on your hand or USB stick, whatever the data inside, we can't directly read. So required a software program. For that, we have to install operating system on top of hardware. Once we install, that operating system will allow us to manage, to create files into storage device, to access, to delete, to install application software, to configure something. Okay. Hardware.
Suresh.
Yep.
Yeah. So do we anyway cover Oracle Linux as well?
Yeah, we'll see that also. I'll show you the same process.
Yeah,
with the way of installation. Red Hat Linux, the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
The same command will work in both environments. So I'll show you that also. Okay, no problem. Okay.
I just wanted to understand the basic differences between the Red Hat Linux and the Oracle Linux.
Yeah. I'll tell you those differences. Is there any differences between? Okay. So in later on classes.
Thank you.
Right. See, directly we can install either Windows, Linux, or Mac, any other operating systems. Once you install, we can manage with the help of this software programs. See, for example, you want to configure IP address. There is a network interface card, the physical device. Is it possible to add IP address on physical machine, a physical device? Directly we can't manage. So for that required a driver. So driver, LAN driver, Ethernet device driver. First we have to install. After installation of operating system, or by default automatically it will install along with your operating system. So when you go with, in Windows, start network connections, it shows something. So local area connection, there is a one network interface icon it shows. Once you click on go to properties, it shows IPv4, IPv6 settings. Internet protocol version, that means IP address version 4, 6, like. Then only we can configure whatever the IP address you want to allocate. Like audio controllers also. So if you want to decrease and increase volume, is it possible with the physical hardware? No. So if you want to change the volume mode and the circumstances like live or room, theater, there are different options, right? By using the software, we can manage. For that required a audio driver. That is a software program. Once you install a software program, by using that application window, we can manage hardware things. So that required a operating system. Right? Once we install. So this is directly we can install. So on single hardware, we can install multiple operating systems. We can install multiple operating systems, but at a time we can start only one operating system. Even though you have a 16 GB and huge storage like 1 TB, we can start multiple operating systems at a time. For that, we have a virtual software. Okay, so here virtual softwares we can install directly on bare metal or on host. hardware, then direct you can install. So we have a virtual software like ESXi. ESXi is a VMware product, VMware virtualization software. Then Citrix virtualization software, Hyper-V, Microsoft, KVM, Red Hat virtual software. So there are different virtual software are available in the market. So but the most popular one is ESXi. Then Zen, right? See, we can choose any one. Directly we can install on top of hardware. So once you install your virtual software directly on your hardware, is called bare metal virtualization. Bare metal virtualization. So once you install virtual software, it creates one abstraction layer, so called hypervisor. Hypervisor layer will be created. This hypervisor layer will allows us to manage hardware. So we can create a number of guest machines now. We can allocate specific hardware for specific virtual machine. Virtual machine 1. Virtual machine 3, like n number of, that is depends on your hardware, RAM and storage availability. Okay, so this is physical machine. Hardware, on top of hardware directly install here operating system. This is physical machine. So here installed one virtual operating system. On top of virtual operating system created machines to install operating system. So this is called virtual machines, not in physical environment. Virtual environment, we created one guest machines. On top of now, we can install desired operating system like Windows here, and here Red Hat Linux, here CentOS Linux, like different versions. On top of this, we can host any applications here all. We can install. So this is a structure. So bare metal virtualization. So host based virtualization in the sense, first we have to install operating system on top of hardware. Once you install operating system, then install virtual softwares like Oracle VirtualBox, VMware Workstation. There are different virtual softwares are available, host based virtualization. Okay. So just once you install virtual software, Oracle VirtualBox or VMware Workstation, then we'll get a one application window. We can create virtual machines here. Then install operating system. Applications. Applications, like there are two methods. Okay, so but in real time, so this one is using, and for a temporary purpose to test, so some applications for home purpose or small organization. So if you want to test any application, we can use this host based Oracle VirtualBox. Just specify. See, we have a VMware Workstation also, but this is not free of cost. We have to buy. Okay, so you'll get a 30 days trial. So Oracle VirtualBox is a free open source. Okay, so fine. See, after installation of VirtualBox, you'll get a application window, create virtual machine, and then start installation. Yes, so here it shows how do you want to manage upgrades on this system. So here it is asking, so if you want to update, is there any updates? Automatically it will update, or if you want to manage those manually, depends on your interest, choose that. So here I am selecting no automatic updates. See, add-ons, here it shows. So if you want to install anyone, so manual package selection, DNS, LAMP server, mail, PostgreSQL database, Samba file server, standard system utilities, virtual machine host, OpenSSH server it shows. Okay, so different add-ons. Which add-on you want to install, we can install, or all our add-ons we can choose, right? Using spacebar key. Spacebar key on keyboard, just use select and deselect. Okay, so here LAMP it shows, right? What is LAMP? Sometimes in interview they're asking like, you know, LAMP stack, have you configured LAMP stack or something? So LAMP is nothing but Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP, or MongoDB, Perl. Okay, so Apache in the sense web server, MySQL is a database software, PHP is a application software. Okay, we'll see this in servers class, how to configure Apache, MySQL, PHP. Okay, continue with this. So install grub bootloader to the master boot record. What is grub? What is master boot record? We'll see tomorrow. What is bootloader? Okay. Okay, click on continue. Installation completed, automatically machine rebooted. So the boot menu here. At boot time, operating system will start in number of processes. That is the thing here it shows. The login screen. So this is console. So enter username here. We created user account. Enter password. So login screen. Now we can run commands from here. Okay. So if you want to use graphical user interface in Ubuntu, we have to download desktop version. So in Red Hat Linux, we have an option server with GUI. Once you choose server with GUI, you'll get a desktop. Right. So this is all about how to install Red Hat Enterprise Linux and Ubuntu operating systems on VirtualBox. Okay, just go through the video and practice. So if you find any difficulty, okay, tomorrow we'll see that.